Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are the Morning Throners, and we got Arya 10 on deck. Maybe a long one. Strap in, folks. We might be here for a while.
It's a long one page-wise, right?
It's a lot of pages. I'm just curious of how scrutinizing the detail that you have in your notes that we're going to have to go over.
I think it's up to Nelson, exactly.
It's normally up to me, yeah.
Because I might try and skip by a couple details, and you're going to make us read every name in the goddamn story.
If you're trying to skip over a name, that's not happening. Those are all blue in my notes. I got them all hyperlinked, so.
Kyle, what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? It was a good one. This was exciting. It was exciting without the war stuff. Somebody died, so I had to like it, right?
Pretty interesting chapter.
There was definitely some names in there that I didn't really remember, and I kind of forgot how the last Arya chapter ended. For sure. Almost. I remembered like the jail cell, but I didn't remember her involvement exactly and all that, like the soup.
I forget too. Like what did the soup?
That was her last name, right? Was to get those guys out of jail.
Yep. She tricked Jaqen, names Jaqen, and he's like, you can't name me, then I have to kill myself. Does the whole trick.
Right.
Like,
so
okay, well then you got to do what I say.
He told her to go make the soup, right?
Yeah.
But the soup didn't actually do anything. It didn't.
He dumped it on somebody, didn't he? Hot soup.
They get Rorgan Biter to carry. They all carry kettles. There's like four or five kettles of soup. They bring them down, pour them over like 8 guards, or I think it's like 8 guards total. Slit some throats. Open the gates, and when they open the gates, they're like, "Oh, you must be working with Vargo."
Yeah,
and it was like, wait, what?
I recall now. I recall now.
And Jaqen has to kind of explain to Arya. He's like, you don't understand what happened, and she's like, yes, I do. But she like thinks to herself, I have no idea what fucking happened. And then Jaqen pulls some weird ass shit where his face changes right in front of her. He gives her a coin. He's gone. And then Roose Bolton shows up and is basically like, hey, you, are you afraid of leeches? And she's like, no. And she's like, awesome, you're my cupbearer now.
Yeah.
And that's like the end of everything. I will say one question we had for Kyle, and I went back to our last podcast and actually looked at this. We asked Kyle, like, why doesn't Arya like say anything to these people? Like, the people in the cell are Northmen. Roose Bolton is a Northman. Like, when he's like, hey, are you my cupbearer? And like I think the collective was like, yeah, it doesn't really make sense why she's not like, awesome, I'm saved now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm Arya and these Northmen are here. And I think what we had like concluded, or what you had maybe said, is I don't know, that maybe just because it's out in the open, but once we have like a private moment with Roose or like one of these Northern Lords, then it'll happen. But
didn't happen.
The reason I bring that up is because we're some time past at least, right? Like,
and she does mention in this chapter too that she would have maybe told Glover or Tallheart.
Yes. But
they're already out doing Roose's bidding, so
she just doesn't trust Roose. It sounds like, right?
Well, this is the first, like, we've heard of Roose before. He's kind of like
he's kind of a psycho.
Well, we've met his friend or his family, right?
Well, I think Kat like met him I think when Kat, and again, this is book 1 long time ago, when she comes back from the Eyrie, she meets Robert Moat Kalen. There's a few like Northern Lords there, and like a lot of them are big and burly and have big ass beards, and then there's like small Roose with pale eyes and like kind of skinny and like soft spoken, and she's like, Roose is more frightening, maybe not frightening, but like
creepy,
intimidating, something along those lines than all these other Northern Lords. And here, like, it kind of, there's only like a dash in it, but when she goes to see him, he's laying in this room with like naked. 8 frays, naked, like laying in the bed naked, like not sitting at the front of the like head of the table, like he's leading the meeting, but from his bed naked. That is crazy. Like,
yeah, he's a weirdo.
It's a creepy guy.
He's getting leeched though. Like, it's not like he's just sitting there like naked.
Keep your underpants on.
Or hold the meeting afterwards.
Things are a little weird. Different.
Why did he have to be naked? Does he have him on his ball sack? Like
chest, inner legs, and inner arms is what she says, but it's weird.
Then you got this little girl picking leeches off your inner thigh.
Well, the reason I bring it up is like, why would Arya want to tell like maybe these Northern Lords but not Roose? And it's like, well, Roose is fucking weirdo. Maybe that's why.
Yeah. Why couldn't the person that put the leeches on his inner thigh take the leeches off his inner thigh?
We don't know. Maybe Arya did before she went to get the water.
Well, all right. So we start this chapter. Arya is admiring some heads above the gates, and she's imagining that one of them is Joffrey.
Yes,
because she hates him. But we do find out who these people are and why their heads are on the top.
Yep, we got the Maester Tothmure, and she kind of starts off wondering, like, the ravens are picking at this guy. Do they remember? Like, this is the guy who used to feed the ravens and send them off with messages. Like, do they remember? Do they wonder why he's not answering back?
Show no loyalty.
Yeah. Another one's Lucan, which is what Gendry's pissed off about later, right? This is like the blacksmith. This is Gendry's kind of boys with this guy. Good wife Hara, she's one of those two, like, kind of old ladies who are there on the day where they show up, and Arya's like, I like horses. And they're like, well, then fuck you. You're going to hang out with Whis. She's one of those two, and Arya runs into the other one later. I'm not sure if they're sisters, but they're always like kind of a pair up to this point, yeah. And then the last word is the steward of Harrenhal for giving the keys to the treasure vault.
I mean, so it was all pretty much traitors, right? Like, that was the idea behind it.
Traitors, but not really. Like, just people who were doing their job, pretty much. Like, the Maester was just being a Maester. Lucan was just making weapons for the person who happened to be in the castle at the time. Haro just told the household to serve the people who were there at the time.
I mean, especially the Maester, because they serve the realm, right? Like, they serve a castle. They don't serve a family or anything like that.
Well, what I would say here, though, is, like, either way, these people were fucked, right? So, like, if they denied Tywin any of these things, they would have got killed.
Well, I'm saying, like, when Tywin took over the castle, why didn't he kill them for not helping him? You know what I mean? Like, before Tywin took it over, somebody was holding it, and they weren't helping Tywin. I mean, maybe they were, right? Like, from what we hear, Lady Sheila Went, who's, like, the person who had this, we don't really, like, it doesn't really make sense where the lady of this castle is. Like, we hear that this castle is held by Lady Sheila Went, but then, like, Tywin just shows up, and we never really hear about her. Like, this, here they say, good wife Hara told her household to serve the Lannisters. Well, where's her? Like, where is she? Where's this lady? Was there a battle? Did they kill her? Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
We never really hear.
It's also weird, though, because we've heard, I think it might have even been Gendry. Someone told him everybody will need, maybe he even said it to himself, like, everybody will need a blacksmith, especially during war.
Yeah.
Like, why kill the guy who's going to be a necessity right now? You know, he can help you, but
it's like we're saying, like, we called Theon stupid for killing Mikken.
Right.
And then here, like, is Bruce stupid? Maybe we were wrong. I don't know. Maybe killing the blacksmith isn't that bad.
Maybe there's more than one blacksmith in this city.
Harrenhal is huge. We know Gendry's they got at least Gendry for a backup.
So we find out that the cook was spared because they probably had a hand in the weasel soup. And the people that were sleeping around with the Lannisters are caged up outside.
Yeah,
stockaded up.
Shaved and just for anybody, to have their way with. Not pretty sight for them out there. Pretty Paya is the one that we have the name of, yeah.
So she's getting water we find out she's getting water at the well for Roose, and this is where Amabel stops her.
Yeah.
Grabs her.
And 3 men are currently using the women in the stockades at the time. I'm just pointing it out. It's happening right there because Amabel points it out later. She kind of says, look what you did.
You're next.
You'll be in there next when Tywin comes back.
And she says, I'm going to be one of them Freys, except I'm be going at you with my splintery broom handle.
Oh, and I think it's worth noting that Arya's wearing a Roose Bolton sigil.
Yeah. That little skin man on your tit isn't going to save you none. When Tywin shows up, she says something like that, right?
Yeah, pretty much. He's coming back.
Yeah. And I'm going to take my turn with a broken broom.
Yeah.
And then she has a flashback about another time she was looking at the heads, and her old pal Gendry pops up to her.
Well, I think right before that, she swings the bucket, right? She's like, fuck you.
Her in the head. She's like aiming for her skull, she said.
She spills a little bit. She's got to go back.
Yeah, she doesn't get the clout in the head off, but she spills all the water over. And has to go back and get some more. She thinks about telling Roose. She's like, if I just told Roose what this lady just said to me, like, she'd be right up there next to Hera.
She'd be dead. She'd either be dead or in the cage.
Yeah, and that's what brings up her thinking about, like, her remembering the conversation with Gendry about it.
Yeah. Gendry just blaming her. I guess he didn't blame her. He gave her the credit for those dead heads because she helped the Northmen.
Well, he's coming from blame because he liked Lucan.
Right. Well, you know.
And he says this bunch is worse. He's like, fuck these guys. At least Armory was serving a lord, which is kind of weird that Gendry has this perspective because why does Arya hate Armory? Because Armory was the one who attacked the Holdfast when they were with Yoren, right? Like, that was Armory outside, her, Yoren, and Gendry, and them inside. The reason she hates Armory is because he's responsible for Amory, Armory, Lorch, whatever. The reason she hates him is because he's responsible for Yoren. I guess Gendry didn't like Yoren as much as Arya.
I mean, Gendry has some reasons why he doesn't like these people.
True. and they seem valid.
Well, I mean, I don't think he cares so much about Bolton. It's the mummers and like everybody else that's there.
Yeah,
the mummers mainly. Yeah,
the three people he named were Sifton Oot, who's diddling boys, Qyburn, who's doing black magic, and Biter, who's eating people.
Yeah, and Arya's like, the problem is I can't even argue with this because he's kind of right on all three counts.
Like, yeah, they're actually awful.
Yeah.
And then we hear that the goat is actually out with his bloody mummers looking for Lannister loyalists. So,
and he's going like, all he's doing is going back to the places where he got help before and just saying, "Yeah, you helped me, so now it's your turn."
Now you're fucked.
Yeah, all the places he had bribed earlier, like Tywin gave him gold, go bribe all these people. He went out and bribed them. Now he's going out and killing them and bringing the gold back. So,
nice little payday.
Just a clarification: Vargo is kind of like the leader of all of those other ones, right? The boy diddler, the black magic guy, and Biter. Yeah. Also confusing, just for clarification, the brave companions and the bloody mummers are the same thing.
They don't like being called the bloody mummers, right?
Well, they call themselves the brave companions, and the bloody mummers is like a mocking nickname because they're more like a troop of like fools than is like how everybody else sees them.
But they kill a lot.
It just a lot of people get confused because they throw those terms around and like interchangeably. So it's good to remember that it's the same thing.
Her boys Rogue and Biter still around, still kicking.
And I like the full Shagwell again. He's the one who's I think making the heads talk last time at the end of the last chapter. He's like doing the whole weasel soup joke. Here he does like another. He's kind of like a medieval Joker kind of. And he says a riddle: if Lord Bolton's goat eats the men who fed Lord Lannister's goat, how many goats are there?
Why wouldn't he be the Riddler?
I guess you're right, the Riddler. But he's just telling jokes.
Batman has
in the last. I don't know, because there's no movie with. I mean, there's no modern movie with the Riddler in it. Well, that's not even true. The most recent Batman movie has the Riddler in it. I'm just
the most modern movie has the Riddler.
Yeah, it wasn't as good though. It wasn't as iconic.
I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
It was pretty good. I just like Shagwell.
Yeah, if Lord Bolton's goat eats the men who fed Lord Lannister's goat, how many goats are there? And pretty much what he's saying, like, you're killing your supply chain here.
She's saying it's the same goat because they call Vargo Hoat the goat. I actually don't remember why. I think it might be because he has like goat facial hair, maybe. Like he's got like a weird goat beard, maybe.
No, I mean, is it just making fun of his last name, Hoat? And maybe he looks like a goat.
So that's the point of this?
Yeah, they call him the goat.
Okay. Well, I missed that then. I thought it was something deeper than that.
Oh, he's from Qohor, which is the black goat of Qohor is like I think a religious symbol, but his banners are a black goat, so that's why they call him the
goat. Okay, so Rogue and Biter's still there. Biter doesn't really scare her because she can stay away from him, but Rourke is giving her some eyes.
He also wears a helmet in the shape of a goat's head. Sorry, go ahead.
And Rourke smells like shit.
Biter smells. He sits at the end of the table and he's pretty much just far away.
And Rourke just is eye fucking her from afar.
Is that true? She said something about Faithful Urswick too.
He sat up near Faithful Urswick, but she could feel his eyes crawling all over.
Yep, you're right. Good call.
I mean, I feel like he just knows more.
He knows about her. Yeah, he knows there's something weird there. Well, he got called in to do this like assassination plan, and she was involved for some reason, right? At least he knows that much.
Didn't he say early on in the cage, like, because he was pissed, like he was like, I'm gonna fuck you bloody or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, but what I'm referring to is like there was a previous chapter where it seemed like he was afraid of her, but it was because of Jaqen. Like she was like, I'll get Jaqen or something like that, and then he like kind of backed off. But Jaqen's gone now. But also like the last interaction they had was like she was talking to Jaqen about the deaths, and he's like, go to the kitchen and wait for me, and then Jaqen shows up with Rourke and Biter. So like we don't know, like Jaqen went to Rourke and got Rourke and Biter to help, but we don't know if he's like, hey, this girl wants these people freed, so we're going to do it. Or if he's just like, you two listen to me, don't ask no questions. The girl's going to be helping us too. Like, you know what I mean? Like they might not have known it was her plan. Like we don't know. All we know is that they were both involved together. But yeah, like theoretically, he could be more aggressive now that Jaqen's gone.
Yeah, she lost her bodyguard. But I think there's a little of both because he knows something, I think, as well.
It even goes into the right there. Like she starts thinking like, fuck, I wish I would have gone with Jaqen. She thinks that she still had the coin, even though it's not worth anything. It actually made her mad that he gave her a worthless coin, so she threw it away once, but then she went back and got it.
Faded, worthless iron coin.
Even though it's worth nothing, she went back and got it.
It was a gift. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Comes in handy later.
I mean, I feel like this coin is probably not worth nothing, right? Like, why would he give her this coin, and why would she hold on to it if it was nothing?
Good question.
It came in handy here.
Chekhov's gun, right? Don't introduce this coin if it holds no purpose.
It does help her immediately.
I know,
later.
but I mean, I feel like there's more than that though. Like Jaqen had no idea this was going to happen.
Did he?
What if
Did
this
he
is
not?
just like Arya's MO? You know what I mean? Like how they have like serial killers, like oh, we found him with like his nipple cut and like his toenails clipped and painted fingernails. Arya's just like, oh yeah, we found a guy on one knee with a slit.
That could fill this.
The slitter, the neck slitter,
Two-Face.
Yeah,
the coin guy.
Oh, he does have a coin. Yeah, this is just
God
a big
damn
Batman.
it, Nelson.
She doesn't flip it. Like that's not the point of it, though. But I see what you're.
Maybe she did do a little flip up in the air. He just didn't catch it. So she's walking back now, and she's getting. I guess she's just in the yard, and Elmer
She's
Frey.
going by her new name, Nan. Now.
Nan, yeah, the youngest Nan ever.
Yeah.
And Elmer is the true son of Water.
Yep.
And he is also the squire for Roose, and he is in charge right now of cleaning the chainmail, which sounds like a brutal task.
Yeah. Just pushing a huge barrel of sand.
Though,
right? That's got to be good for you.
I guess you don't want it too full of sand, though, right? Because the point, it's like a washing or a dryer or like a washing machine.
Yeah, you need
the
to
point
like bounce around a little bit.
Yeah, to bounce around. Still not fun. Yeah, still not fun.
You need some friction in there.
That might even make it harder to roll. Who knows?
So Arya, whoever helps him, and it's still a little bit dirty. So she's like, you better do it again. He's like, you do it, you little Nan rat, you little.
He also tells her he's gonna marry a princess, and she's like, I don't give a fuck about your princess. She doesn't say that, but she thinks that.
He's like, I got to bring him water. It's on you.
Yeah.
And she freaks him out with the leeches.
Yeah. So again, this is like, you probably didn't catch it, but like in the last chapter, when like Roose brings her on as like a cupbearer.
Well, you opened up with that this episode. You said
when she says, do you like leeches? He says, okay, you're better than my squire or something like that. Like he implies that whoever his squire is, we don't know who that is, but he implies that his squire doesn't like leeches.
I don't know if I like leeches, to be honest.
I don't know if I've ever seen a leech, but
they're
probably
gross.
wouldn't love it.
I don't even really like worms. I don't enjoy worms. I don't want to see like worms on the sidewalk and me like pick them up. Like I was never that kid. I don't know.
Your fiance is very not good with, I don't know about bugs, but like somebody had a lizard, I think, like a salamander type thing in college. And like, I feel like wasn't it Danny who would like freak the fuck out? Like if like, it was like, oh, somebody brought the lizard into the room. She'd be like, like trying to crawl out a window.
I'm sure she did. And she would run away. It sounds very on brand.
Lizards are awesome. She's missing out.
I like lizards too. I don't know.
Leeches are gross,
if I went fishing, like I don't want to maybe this is a real pussy statement of me. I don't want to put the worm on the hook. I guess I would if I really had to, but I don't want to.
I have no problem putting the worm on the hook. I don't like taking the fish off the hook.
I don't like taking the fish off the hook either.
Did you ever use minnows?
Yeah, I've used like squid
fucked
bait
up. I hate
like
doing
pieces
it.
of bait. I don't mind that. It's just meat at that point.
Well, you're gonna like no, they're alive.
Well, I guess a worm's different, but like a lot of times when you go fishing, you use like
minnow
frozen.
That's alive. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, you use minnows, or you can use like frozen bigger pieces of bait.
Yeah, but you gotta like stick the hook through a live minnow's face, man.
Or
yeah, I've never done that. I've fished twice in the last 25 years. Once this past spring, and the last time before that, I had a Power Ranger fishing rod. So it's not like I'm going out there very often and throwing my rod in with a worm on it. But
I'm not a crazy fisherman, like less than once a year fisherman. But I've tossed a rod once or twice.
It's all right. Yeah. All right. Let's get back on track. So she's able to get to Bolton's room now, and we kind of hit on this. Like he's with 8 or so Freys and Qyburn.
He's having a war meeting, pretty much war council, right?
Is it? Yeah, I guess. It's all based on the war
strategy.
But the Freys are freaking out here, and they're like, "We got to get the fuck out of here." Aenys Frey is the one taking the lead.
They freak out later, but I don't know if like so. Arya at some point in this chapter mentions a raven coming, and I take that as the raven that whatever happens makes the Freys upset because Elmar seems fine here, and then Elmar is crying later. So I think like whatever the Freys are upset about isn't yet happening. I think this is just like normal council meeting, right? Like later he says like we've been dishonored. But I don't think whatever that dishonorment is, like they know about it yet. Is at least the way I take it. Because Elmar didn't. At least Elmar doesn't know about it. But you're right. They don't seem very like, hoorah, we're awesome right now. You know what I mean?
I just don't think they want to be here.
Yes. Yeah, this is a vulnerable location, and they're not happy about it, but I don't think it's as bad, like Nelson said, as it is later.
Yeah. I think the main reason is that I think they've probably recently got news from context clues. Like I think they've recently got news.
Tywin won the Blackwater.
Exactly. And they were really hoping that wasn't going to happen because then, like, Tywin loses, like.
But they already knew that.
Well, they might not have even known Tywin was going to the Blackwater, right?
No,
like
they knew that already, because that's what Amabel says. She said, Lord Tywin's won now. He'll be marching back with all his power. That's what she says to her.
Right.
So that makes me think that that's the most like recent news at this point. Like that's kind of.
But the Raven didn't come until later in the chapter.
True. So what I'm saying is the Raven, I think, is a different news.
That's what I'm saying.
Is what makes Elmar cry. I think what this is more about is the Blackwater. What you're saying, yeah.
So, and if we just think about the Freys as people, we know they have a castle that is pretty hard to siege.
They're turtles.
So they're like, fuck this place that is cursed. Let's get the fuck back home, type of deal. And Roose is chilling. He's just getting leeched.
Weird leeches too. Big pale ones, not the normal black ones.
He pretty much just says like, we got time. Like I'm not worried.
Tywin's got some shit to deal with. Like he'll be okay. We'll be okay for a little bit.
Let me hit the names. Total, we got Qyburn, Steelshanks Walton, Sir Aenys Frey, Sir Jared Frey, Harry's High, who is a Frey on his mother's side, Sir Hostine Frey, who's the strongest Frey, and Ronald Rivers, who's a bastard Frey. About a dozen total, not 8.
All right, so Roose is like, don't worry, I don't plan on getting sieged here. There's other shit that he's got to deal with in Highgarden, and the Freys just like, not Highgarden, King's Landing, but the Freys are like, man, they got all the power of Highgarden now too. We need to leave.
They're like, what's our plan? Like what's the plan right now? Is Edmure just gonna like fight them? Like, because Rob's still out west. They don't have like a ton of people here at Harrenhal. Like the major force, I guess, is the Riverrun force, and they're like, what's our plan? Edmure's gonna fight them? Like, not a shot. Like,
yeah, their numbers have grown since we've seen them last.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they just keep going. Like Rob's lost the war. They don't want to be Lannister prisoners, and they're like, no, he lost the North. Like he doesn't even have Winterfell, and his brothers are dead.
Yes, exactly.
Dun dun dun.
Arya has to play cool.
Kudos to her for not like dropping the water or dropping the glass of wine or anything.
Well, again, there's like a few lines in this that are like I don't think I've ever caught before. And there's a part like once everyone leaves, she starts crying. Like I don't know if I ever noticed that. Like I think when she's like burning the letter that like is from Roose's wife later, like after they go on the hunt, she like starts crying in the room when she's cleaning by herself. And I never noticed that before. I kind of thought she just like held it down, but you're right. She just kind of like puts on a face and is like, not now. Worry about it later. We can't right now. Yeah, Syrio's teaching her.
Using some skills, right? Like this is not the time. I know that my situation, being aware of the situation, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
How does he kick these cats out of here?
Yeah, Ronald Rivers, who's the bastard, says like if Stannis would have won, things would all be different. And Hostine is like very blunt. And he's like, yeah, but he didn't. He lost, and now Rob's got to bend the knee. I don't care if he likes it or not. That's just what's got to happen.
I'll take everything you guys are saying right now. Get the fuck out of here.
He's like, it'd be nice to have so many brothers. Yeah, it kind of gives me like a Varys vibe, where he's like, he's trying to like make everything a compliment or like half backhanded. Like I don't get what he's saying. Like it would be a nice thing to have so many valiant brothers in troubled times. I'll think on what you said.
I think he was talking shit on him. Like you guys are being fucking bitches. Like we're in this. He said it is a fine thing to have so many valiant brothers in such troubled times. Like
yeah, like I don't get that. I don't quite understand. Again, it seems like a Varys comment where I'm not exactly sure what he's trying to say there.
I think he's calling them cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. So now it's like, all right, take these leeches off me. Qyburn hangs back because they got a letter from Lady Walda, who seems to write him a whole ton.
Yes.
Same letter every day.
I forgot what had happened with the letter because when he goes to hunt, he's like, hey, Nan, take care of this or like see to it. And I'm like, wait, is he going to have her just write like a generic, like, thanks, honey? But no, she just burns it.
Yeah, that was definitely it.
Like, clearly this is a common thing. If he's like, yeah, just do the usual.
Lady Walda's writing text messages to him, just saying like, good morning and shit.
Well, it's pretty much what it is, right? It's like, I love you. I can't wait to see you. We're going to have kids.
You were here.
Yeah. We do hear that he's got a son. So we knew he had the bastard who died, right? They killed the bastard up in the north. Roderick did, but here we say, "I will give you many trueborn sons to take the place of your dear Domeric and rule the Dreadfort after you." I don't know if we knew that Roose had a son, but it sounds like it was a had a son thing where to take the place of your dear Domeric. So maybe this guy isn't around anymore.
It's been a while. I kind of assumed that he died with Rob's forces, but because like Tallheart's kids and whatever.
I'm pretty sure we've never heard of this guy before. I might be wrong, but I didn't have it in my notes.
Okay, that's fine. No, you're probably right. I didn't recognize his name. I just made an assumption.
Yep. So Roose is like, okay, let's write a letter. And Qyburne's like, wait, to your wife? And he's like, no, come on.
Fuck
Lord
her.
Tallheart.
Lord Tallheart.
Who I think is the father of the guy who Theon killed. Benford Tallheart, right? The guy, because he takes over Torrhen Square.
Yeah, the rabbits. Or wild hares?
Wild hares, exactly. Yes. Because Roose is like, he's lost a son, and Glover has lost a castle. The castle that is lost, Glover's are Deepwood Mott, which is the castle that Asha took. So he's like, both of these guys have been fucked over by the Freys. Send them on to Duskendale. It's basically
not the Freys.
The Greyjoys. Jesus Christ. Yeah, by Theon and Asha.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, they took over the dairy. This is what I want you to do with it: kill all the captives, burn the castle, and then head east to Duskendale and have more revenge.
Yeah.
And I think this is where Arya was like, damn, I wish I could have talked to them before they left.
Yep, I think you're right.
Yep. Glover and Tallheart.
And Bruce is like, yep, I'm in the mood to go hunting. He hasn't heard what's happened on other hunts, but he wants to get out there.
Well, he's pissed that there's a ton of wolves. Keeping him up at night.
These damn dogs. Gotta take care of them.
I don't know if wolves howling would keep me up at night.
It is annoying. And not wolves. We had outside wolves? Dogs. And one of them used to always tree like raccoons and stuff and bark at them all night. And you would hear it. So he had to like come in every night.
I got crickets that drive me fucking nuts down here sometimes.
Dude, that night at your house with the crickets was the worst night. That was the worst night of my life. I've had some.
That was a cricket, not a wolf, man.
But you think crickets, like, sometimes I feel like people put on like fake noise to go to sleep. Isn't like woods, like outdoor woods, like crickets and stuff?
Yeah, but it's not constant.
And it's not like one. It's like 20, right? It's like the one cricket is the problem.
You kind of get like those cicada noises in the summer. You know, it's just kind of like.
But when it's a bunch, it's like
It's just kind of like the noise of summer. But that
one or two crickets just kills you. Yeah.
Man, that cricket. I was gonna burn your house down.
Like, it drives me crazy.
That was. I guess I feel like it's a lot of wolves and it's like super loud. Like I bet they're pretty loud, especially if there's a lot of them.
If it's just like one every minute, like oh, that would be pissing me off.
Yeah. Give me every 10 minutes, and I probably could fall asleep. But
anyway. Going out to hunt.
He's like, oh, you can't go out hunting. There's too many wolves. He's like, well, fuck, that's who I'm going to kill. I'm going to kill those wolves.
Yep.
It's just strange how the common wolves have been acting. They've been acting very aggressively, coming into camps and whatnot. Roose then leaves, and Arya's alone to burn the letter.
It's almost as if they're being led by a direwolf. Potentially.
It is weird. Why would there be a direwolf around here?
Yeah, I mean, isn't this kind of close to where Arya was set free?
Yeah, so Castle Dairy, I mean, Arya even thinks about it, right?
That was where Lady got killed. Yeah.
Which is the same spot where all that happened. Yeah, so I got a map here. Don't worry. I knew you guys.
Oh, great. Yay, map time. I'm the map. I'm the map. On the map.
So this is pretty much exactly what the map that Arya took also. Like, because she says that hers is from the neck, which if like the top of this map is Seaguard and you can't see the twins, but you can see like the letters for the twins here. So it's basically the neck down to the Blackwater Rush. So this is pretty much the exact same thing that Arya's looking at, the map that she notices when she's cleaning up and then later comes back to steal along with the dagger. So yeah, Castle Dairy is just right there, right? I mean, it's not on the map, but it's pretty much right between Lord Harroway's town and the end of the crossroads. Which is, why did they put these two things on the map that like...
They're in it for like 1 second, not a castle.
We've heard each of them once. In Castle Dairy, like Arya, there's literally a chapter there. Yeah, and it's mentioned a bunch of times, but that's where Castle Dairy is, basically between those two. And the other thing to point out here is he sends them to Duskendale, right? Where it's on the coast, kind of down near King's Landing, right?
That's a pretty far trip, too.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for map time. That was a lot of fun.
Worth it.
Yeah.
So Arya then starts burning the letter, thinking of Winterfell, and has a little cry over her brothers, and wonders if she'll ever actually get out, or if she's gonna be Nan for the rest of her days. And so she has a little cry, and then she's like, "All right, fuck it. While Rooster's out there, I'm gonna get all my chores done." She gets into this room, she cleans up a little bit, and she notices a map of the Trident and sees where Riverrun is.
Yep.
Like, oh shit, that's not too far.
I can do that.
I can get there.
It's probably the best bet, right?
Good thought. It's pretty crazy, like all her schooling. She doesn't know. She doesn't like have an idea of where.
I feel like it's really hard to get a concept of any of that without seeing it on a map.
Yeah, but I mean, she's had to seen a map before, no? Like they studied the houses and the castles. You would think.
Sometimes I think the same thing. Like, how do I know a fake world better than this girl knows her own
At least
world?
the major houses. Like she should at least know Harrenhal and Riverrun.
I guess what I would say is they don't have the internet. They don't have like cell phones. They don't have.
That's
like,
also true.
They don't have the mapping like we do.
I remember having to be old school navigator, like actual navigator on like a vacation with my dad, where I got the fucking atlas. No, I got a fucking like atlas.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
More so my pop-up, but like he'd have a folded up map and he'd be like, all right, where are we at? And I'm like, I got no fucking clue where you're at. But
we got to figure it out. Yeah. Back in the days.
But like
That's
if you told me I lived here and this is like a really important spot, I probably would.
I don't know.
You say that, but like I know the general direction of, I'm going to say Las Vegas from my house, but I couldn't tell you how to get there.
Not even Philadelphia, right? Like,
yeah.
It's
well,
kind
I
of
can
like
tell you how to get to Philadelphia from here.
Highways wise, but not without highways. You couldn't.
Yeah.
I guess here's my point is like, how old is she? How old is she, Nelson? Just to give it some
10,
9.
12?
Give her a break. She's probably only in like 3rd or 4th grade in our time. But her studies are like, sure, they do a little bit of counting, they do some needlework, but then a lot of it is studying these family names, where their castle is, what their sigil is. Like I feel like that's a big part of
and politeness stuff, right? Like etiquette.
Sure, but I'm just saying like the family history part of it is a big part of the being a lady is like knowing their sigils. And you would just think, I don't know, like they have a map and you're like, all right, this is Harrenhal. Who is the Lord of Harrenhal? Like that's all a part of it. But
I guess along those lines, an excuse for Arya would be Arya doesn't never cared about that shit. She never cared about needlework.
Yeah.
She never cared about the school stuff.
But it seems like it's the first time she's ever seen a map of the Trident. And
yeah, she's like, whoa, this is neat.
That just shocks me. But either way.
We're talking about needlework. She's excited here because she's like, yeah, my new job, I don't have Weiss anymore to deal with. I'm not working, like breaking my back all
Yeah, he's
the time.
pretty nice, right?
Yeah, I got to dress fancy, which sucks, and I got to bathe every once in a while, which also sucks. But I had a bunch of free time, so I get to go to the Godswood and slash at branches and yell names. Her favorite pastime. So that's what she does.
She gets out there. She's pretending to kill her list.
Let's cover it again. Kyle, what's the list?
Sir Gregor, Dunson, Polliver, Raff the Sweetling, the Tickler, the Hound, Sir Ilyn, Sir Meryn, and Queen Cersei. And then Joffrey.
Nothing better than a list of Game of Thrones names.
Joffrey.
So now she's got this new saying, Valar Morghulis, right? I'm sure it was Syria's saying or something, but I don't remember what it means.
Nels, have we heard it yet?
Or is that a Jockin thing?
Yeah, this is like when he gave her the coin. He's like,
he said that to her, right?
He's like, yeah.
Valar Morghulis.
He tells her to remember it for some reason.
Because it's probably like the keyword with the coin. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the coin isn't everything.
For what's the coin for?
I don't know. Wasn't it to get passage to somewhere? I forget what he said it was for.
It's for something. I just don't know what he said, so I'm going back to look.
I'm pretty sure he told her to show anybody from Bravos this coin. And
yeah, it was wherever.
They'll bring you to me type of thing.
She asks what good the coin is, as well as what good life is. What good is death? If the day comes that you would find me again, give that coin to any man from Bravos and say these words to him. Valar Morghulis. So, yeah, you're right. It's exactly what you said. I just didn't know if we knew it, which I guess so. Which obviously.
She's getting some hacks in, and then she sees a raven come, and she wonders if it's news from Robb. And she also thinks to herself, if she was a raven, she would fly off to see if the rumors were true about her brothers.
Yep.
And then maybe she'd just fly away and never come back.
She's had this thought a couple times. Well, no, not she didn't, but that's come up a couple times in this chapter, right? Like, I mean, well, if Stannis won, yeah, but you're not a fucking raven. Like
this is one of the things that I wish like would happen like when I die. I just want to be like a little forge ball and just be able to fly all over the world and see everything that I never got to see. Like if I never get to go to the pyramid, when I die, I just want to be able to go and like float above it and like see it, like kind of be like a bird and just like go look at everything. I feel that's what she's saying. She wants to go see like the Titan of Bravos and sea monsters.
Well, we were talking about it before. I got this awesome program called Google Maps, Google Earth.
Not the same.
It is exactly the same.
You can even drop a pin and it'll get you ground level.
In my hypothetical, you'd be able to change time, so you'd be able to like go back and see what happened in history at certain times too.
Oh,
yeah,
shut up!
I thought that would be the coolest thing. Like when you die, you just get to basically like scrub through history forever.
Just another unoriginal thought
as a forge ball. Yeah, that's all I want. That would
cinema mode, maybe.
I think that could entertain me for eternity. Yeah. Moving on though.
You could watch George write the 8th book.
Yeah, in the future. That'd be an alternate reality. I saw a meme today. I was looking. God. When Arya goes to see Roose, like, we're not quite there yet, but when she goes back into his chamber, he's reading a book and he puts the book in the fire. And I saw I like Googled like looking up theories. Like, is there anything like what is this book that Roose is reading? Seeing if there was any thoughts on it out there. And I saw people saying it's Winds of Winter. That's the only theory I saw was that Roose already has Winds of Winter and he just burned it.
I thought you were going to say it was the script for season 8 of Game of Thrones.
It's like kind of the same type of thing. Yeah.
All right, so Roose returns with 9 dead wolves. They have him skinned in the blankets, and the baby wolves are for gloves.
Yep,
winter's coming.
He wants Arya to get him some hot wine and his dinner, and he wants them both to be warm.
Yep.
She gets to the kitchen. Hot Pie's there.
Hot Pie doesn't like her
anymore. Pissed at her.
Yeah.
Nah, he's a little pissed at her. Or scared of her.
Yeah.
One of the two.
He comes with her quick enough when she's like, hey, escape plan.
Yeah.
Or he comes with Gendry at least.
Yeah. The guard gives her a little joke like, hey, I hope that's not weasel soup you're taking to my lord. And she just walks away and goes back to Roose, who is reading this book that he ends up burning once he's done. Pretty weird.
Yeah.
And interesting.
He's like, light some candles? Well, yeah. Light some candles. He puts the food down. He's doing it. Burns the book. Yeah, you're right. Yep. And
she gets some bravery here.
She starts asking questions.
She's just stupid. I think she kind of just forgets herself, right? Like, I don't think.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been a while. I don't have the timeline yet. I have to go back and figure out some of this timeline for the end of Clash of Kings stuff.
Timelines don't matter.
She needed to know, I think. I think like this overcame her, like, I need to know. Like, my future.
The first question isn't bad.
It's just she spoke out of turn is all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you taking me with you?
He turned to stare at her, and from the look in his eyes, it was as if his supper had just spoken to him. Did I give you leave to question me, Nan?
Yeah, just like this guy just so surprised. He's like, what the fuck are you?
What is that? What is that noise?
Yeah.
So he basically tells her like, nope, not taking you. You're going to stay here and I'm going to leave Vargo Hoat in charge and you can continue to serve him.
And she's like, fuck.
And she's like, fuck that. Yeah. Fuck that.
But I don't really like him.
She never thinks about it. Like, I don't think like straight up, but clearly like that is the motivator to, okay, let's go see Gendry. Let's get some shit in motion. Right. Because the next thing is it says like I guess she goes back to the
she sees Elmar. She sees
yet.
Elmar next.
Yeah, she's on her way to the Godswood and sees Elmar.
And Elmar's crying outside the whaling tower, which is the one the Freys have taken over.
Yeah, which is the one that she used to sleep in. Also kind of funny, he's crying outside the whaling tower. It's not whaling. But...
It is. It's ironic. It's not funny.
Okay.
And she's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And he's like, we've been dishonored and now I can't marry my princess.
Yeah.
And Arya's like, fuck you and your princess.
My lord father says I'll need to marry someone else or be accepted. And she says, a stupid princess, she thought, that's nothing to cry over. My brothers might be dead. So this is the first of twice where Arya is kind of playing loose.
Yeah.
This is vague, but she probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, she could just be like a serving woman, like a serving girl from the town over that just got burned down.
Yeah, or they went to war or something,
exactly. Yeah. So my brothers might be dead, she confided. Elmar gave her a scornful look. No one cares about a serving girl's brothers. It was hard not to hit him when he said that. I hope your princess dies, she said, and ran off before you could grab her.
So who's this princess, huh? I mean, I guess...
Why would a Frey be marrying a princess?
So I guess this is where my lack of knowledge of the naming conventions of titling conventions.
Don't take too much offense to it because it gets really confusing too.
Well, we looked this up recently. A prince is just
different people are
a male relative to like not even in line, just like a male relative to a monarch, like a male monarch, basically.
So there's only one princess then, right?
No, there's 4 kings right now. We're in the war of it was the 5 kings.
Oh, so he's probably supposed to marry Arya then.
Exactly, yes. So Elmar's supposed to marry Arya. She's like, I hope your princess dies. She's talking about herself here. Yeah. He's the youngest of the true-born phrase. It's a good catch.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you if you didn't catch it because it's not really like a spoiler and it's like from information we've had so far. But yeah, that's a really good catch.
Yeah, you'd have to track back to like what the Rob.
I think we only heard about it in one Cat chapter. Yeah, where Cat goes in and talks to Walder and basically sets up that deal. Rob marrying somebody, Arya's marrying somebody.
But what could the news be here, though? Like, we've been dishonored. Aenys says, bird from the twins. My lord father says I need to marry someone else or be a septon. So is he saying that the Starks betrayed him?
Something's going on.
And this is me thinking out loud, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
or is it that the Greyjoys betrayed the Starks, which kind of screwed his whole situation up? I don't.
I mean,
know.
The one thing we know that the Freys are feeling right now is that they're going to lose the war.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked because I don't know if we even said it back then, but like the main thing, I mean, Rob got their army, right? Or like their men, but the main thing he wanted was to cross the bridge. And I think like one of you guys, maybe Glow, said like, why not just cross the bridge and then just like turn off, like, and just like say fuck, like fuck whatever we agreed to, you know what I mean? Or like screw the phrase. So
I mean,
because they might have to get back.
You got to get back
at
some point.
And the army is a huge thing. So but like I'm just saying it kind of sucks from a phrase point of view where it's like, okay, I'll let you cross if you agreed to all this stuff, and it's like, fuck, you've already crossed. It's like, now what? Like,
there's no way to get that back. Yeah,
it's easy to get fucked. And again, like they gave all their men, but
yeah. All right, so now she gets to the God's Woods again, and she's praying. She's praying to the old gods for what to do, and she has her broomstick sword with her.
Super weird. Jeff, read that quote. For a long moment.
For a long moment there was no sound but the wind and the water and the creak of the leaf and limb. And then, far, far off, beyond the God's Wood and the haunted towers and the immense stone walls of Harrenhal, from somewhere out in the world, came the long, lonely howl of a wolf. Goose prickles rose on Arya's skin, and for an instant she felt dizzy. Then, so faintly, it seemed as if she heard her father's voice. When the snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives, he said. But there is no pack, she whispered to the weirwood. Bran and Rukin were dead. The Lannisters had Sansa. Jon had gone to the wall. I'm not even me. Now, I'm Nan. You are the Arya of Winterfell, daughter of the North. You told me you could be strong. You have the wolf blood in you. The wolf blood? Arya remembered now. I'll be as strong as Rob. I said I would. She took a deep breath, then lifted the broomstick in both hands and brought it down across her knee. It broke with a loud crack, and she threw the pieces aside. I am a direwolf, and done with the wooden teeth.
Pretty sweet. Super weird also. It reminds me of something I feel like Jeff talks about a lot. When Bran is praying in Winterfell at one point, and he hears nothing but the wind rustle or something, and Osha comes up, and she's like, who sends the wind? Here, it's literally like, that's exactly what happens. The wind, Arya hears some nature-y shit that's like sent by the gods, and then it's like words. So it's almost like she actually understood what that was. Right. So I never thought about this before. I disagreed with you when you said that, I think, about Osha.
I know you did. And I was like, you're an idiot. And
what did you say about Osha?
Like, Osha was like actually hearing.
I remember. That was a very defining moment. I did not forget that moment.
Okay. Yeah.
But what were you say? What did you say about it that Nelson disagreed with?
He was like, oh no, it's just the wind. Like, they're just bullshitting about it. And like, I don't know. I'm like, maybe Osha actually knows how to listen. Like, maybe it's a gift to be able to, like, if you're a believer, like maybe Bran wasn't a believer. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't remember exactly what I was arguing about, but that sounds close, like something along those lines.
I mean, it was super, super long ago.
Literally, probably like 2 years ago. I just remember that there was an argument about that conversation where me and you, Christian,
and I probably yelled at you because you're being stupid.
What I was gonna say is that, like, so this feels very much like Jon's experience too, right? Like, so there's this wolf. It might be Nymeria. It could also be Bran in Nymeria, right? Like, I mean, we've kind of seen some of that going on now where he's appearing for his siblings far away.
When he appeared for Jon, though, he was a tree. No? It was a weirwood with his brother's face. He wasn't a wolf.
I thought he was a wolf. I thought there was a wolf there. Because, well, I guess Ghost was there.
John was like in Ghost, kind of like Bran is normally in
Okay,
Summer,
that's what it was then. But I mean, she kind of seemed to have a similar experience. Like the wolf howled, she prickled up and like kind of got dizzy, like almost like it almost happened to her, except she was awake, kind of thing. And then, yeah, exactly. Then the winds talked to her. So maybe this is all coming through Bran, even though back then he was like, yeah, that's bullshit. Now that he's met the frogman.
That's a good call. I didn't even really think of the John thing, but now that you pointed out, I agree. I think there's a lot of similarities between this and that. They're both like, John wasn't at a weirwood, but he was dreaming of a weirwood, and she's like at a weirwood. But yeah, I think there's definitely similar. Also interesting, wolf blood here. Like, I looked up wolf blood and I thought like this was going to be something for spoiler section to talk about. There's a website where you can search words in any like a word or phrase in any book. What's weird is wolf blood has only been said in the first 2 books, so I feel like maybe I can talk about this. And the only time I saw it said was what Arya is thinking of here. So Ned is saying wolf blood to her. And where that's from is in Game of Thrones, the second Arya, he finds Needle when they get to King's Landing. He's like, what if I break it over my knee? She's like, Needle won't break, Arya said defiantly, but her voice betrayed her words. It has a name, does it? Her father sighed. Arya, you have a wildness in you, child. The wolf blood. My father used to call it. Lyanna had a touch of it, and my brother Brandon more than a touch. It brought them to an early grave. And then the only other time it said besides this chapter, and I think in all 5 books, is in a Bran chapter, the first Bran chapter, Clash of Kings. The Walters might not be scared of them, but the Starks had wolf blood, Old Nan told him, though it is stronger in some than in others.
Midichlorians.
Kind of like weird, like wolfy stuff. And I
don't even know if it's that. I think it just means like the Starks were so close to the wildlings, right?
Was that like, yeah, the ability to be able to talk to these gods? If if like Lewin's basically saying, Bran, you got a lot of this. Arya,
yeah, the gift. Yeah. I think it's a little of that. I think it's also just like the independence and the drive, like that Arya is showing.
Yeah.
Like like Charlie Sheen and Tiger's Blood. I got tiger blood, like I'm.
Yeah, I'm special.
Yeah, I think it's a little of both.
Yeah, I think it's a cool section. Like, it's a cool quote. Yeah, the thing that Jeff read. So then she goes back to bed. She's like, "Fuck this, I'm done." Again, like she never says it out loud, but she's clearly like, "I'm done with Harrenhal. Fuck this shit. I'm out."
Well, that's what she says. I'm tired of hiding. I'm a dire wolf.
She's like, "Fuck these wooden. Fuck the wooden sword. I need some real steel in my hand."
Another weird thing, and I know we're going long, but like another weird part where she's laying in bed, right? She's in bed listening to voices of the living and the dead, saying it's the only voices she listens. I don't have the exact quote, but saying it's the only voices she trusts anymore. Like, does this mean that she's like living back in her mind, like conversations she's had with other people, like whether it be Jon Snow living or Ned dead? And like the only thing the only reason I grasped that
I just thought she was talking about the wind. I thought she was just talking about the fake ghost of Harrenhal. That was the wind and
gotcha. I'm not sure. I was confused by it. That's how I took it. And again, just the only reason I really take it that way is because it's on the heels of her kind of remembering a conversation that she had with Ned. But I think you're right. It doesn't really make sense to me, like what that like. I don't know. She talks to Gendry and trusts him later. So
immediately,
yeah. So I don't know what that means, but
yeah. All right. So she sneaks out. She sneaks down to the forge, wakes Gendry.
She also hears wolves calling to her, or she thinks she hears wolves calling to her.
Well, she hears one, and one's a lot closer. So, but she sneaks forward, wakes Gendry. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she's like, "We need 3 swords."
It was a great pack of them. Not to be a dick, but she heard one before, and the wolves were back as well. Great pack of them now. They're closer than the one I heard in the Godswood. Not super important, but it is kind of, because it's like now it's a shitload of them right there, and she feels like they're
and it comes. I feel like the wolf thing comes up one more time, kind of in like a weird way at the end of the chapter. But yep. To Jeff's point, goes to the forge. Gendry wakes him up like he's sleeping with some people. Puts cups in his mouth. Let's go talk downstairs. They go talk downstairs. Get me a sword. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, no, it's a bad idea. He's like, well,
you're going to get me fired.
She's like, Vargo's about to take over the castle.
And he's about to cut all of our feet off. So let's get the fuck out of here.
Like, it might be true, but we never heard about that. Like, Arya straight up asked Roose, like, what's the deal? And he said Vargo's taking over. she made up a few extra fibs because when
made it sound extra horrible.
Because she tells Gendry and he's like, so? And she's like, okay, well, I need to I gotta make it worse.
He's gonna cut off your feet, poke out your eye, and only serve, lettuce.
Yeah, exactly.
So she gets him on board, and she's like, all right, you go get Hot Pie, tell him to pack some food. I'll get the horses ready. Meet me somewhere. I forget where she says this gate that no one's at anymore.
Tower of the Ghosts.
Yep, the gate near the Tower of Ghosts, exactly. He's like, that one's guarded just like the rest. And he's like, so you won't forget the swords. And he's like, I never said I was gonna come. He's like, but if you do, you won't forget the swords. He's like, no, I guess I won't.
So I guess you're coming. All right. So then she goes and gets the map.
Yeah, she goes back to bed, gets dressed. Again, this reminds me of like waking up in the morning for hunting. 2 pairs of underwear, hunting socks, her best, cleanest tunic, wool cloak, and then go down, get stairs, get your hunting knife. In case you get lucky, get a map.
Well, she's been alone in the wilderness before. She kind of has an idea now that she's going to be a little more prepared.
And it's getting colder. Now it's fall.
Yeah, that's true.
Summer's gone. Winter's coming.
Another great point. Yeah, that's how this book started, was with that winter, with that raven coming, right? So yeah, she sneaks back out. Again, she can't just walk in and out of the King's Pyre Tower. She's sneaking in and out of windows every time. But but yeah, she's the boss of sneaking.
I mean, she's been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
And she goes and gets to the stable boys. Yeah, so she basically it's great because she used what was told to her against the stable boy.
Well, she thought about this in a previous Arya chapter, I think, right? Like she was given a piece of paper, like, hey, go get this sword from Lucan. And she gives it to Lucan, I think, and she assumes Lucan can't even read what it says. And she's like, I could take this to anybody and just get whatever I wanted. I could take this and get some horses. I could take this and get, you know what I mean? And just get show those people at the gate because they're not going to be able to read anyway. So I think it's kind of, she's actually doing that, but just without the paper. She's like, hey, look at this on my chest. That fucking,
she pulls the
man on my tit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, do you really want me to go back to Roose and tell him that you were asking questions?
She gives him the exact line that Roose gave her.
That was the point that I was making. Was
he's not in the habit of being questioned by servants.
Yeah, exactly.
So she gets 3 horses. She walks them along the inner wall so that it's tough to see down from the top if someone was looking.
That was the scariest part, but nobody saw her except for a white and gray cat that hissed at her, and she's like, I can fucking catch you, cat.
She's like, fuck you, cat. I can get your ass.
Yeah. Then she gets there.
She goes behind the Tower of the Ghosts, which is the one that nobody's really in because it collapsed for the most part.
Yeah, the most collapsed one. And she starts sharpening her little dagger while she's waiting for
Gendry and Hot Pie
to show up. And they do. And classic Hot Pie's like huffing and puffing, bumps into a rock and curses. And Gendry's clinking his swords as he's walking. Thick as a castle wall, these two.
Idiots. They learn nothing from getting caught by...
yeah, exactly. The mountain in them.
The mountain, yeah.
So they catch up. Hot Pie brought some bread and cheese. Big old wheel of cheese and a bag of bread. And Gendry also has his blacksmithing hammer slung across his back. I always thought of a blacksmithing hammer as a one-hand hammer.
I'm pretty sure it is.
So how do you have that slung across your back?
Trapped in a strap, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, he just strapped it up.
I also saw this thing, Jeff, and maybe you can tell me, because I think you've watched more of this than me, of this, it was...
I was literally watching Forged in Fire yesterday.
It wasn't Forged in Fire, but I think it was a guy, a blacksmith, so the same type of thing, and it was a TikTok, and he had a 5-pound hammer, and he was addressing a comment of I can't believe you use a 5-pound hammer, not an 8-pound hammer, you pussy, or something like that. And he's like, trust me, if you're a professional blacksmith, no one uses an 8-pound hammer. You use it here and there, but you don't use it all day long.
Well, I mean, I guess the thing is you can maybe swing a 5-pound hammer.
He's saying all day long. I can do 5
all
pounds.
day long, and you could probably create, comparable force over and over and over again versus
I'm just thinking, we know Gendry is Robert's son. We know Robert Warhammer. I'm hoping this is a 2-handed hammer. And again, I always picture a 2-handed hammer with a huge ass head, a big ass mallet. But I've been playing Chivalry, and a Warhammer has a normal, it looks like a sledgehammer, basically. Yeah.
At the most. So, if any, it might even look more like just a regular claw hammer.
Yeah, like a claw hammer.
I think he's got a decent sized bang hammer.
It's a Robert Baratheon parallel for sure, right?
Yeah.
He's got the hammer.
Yeah, I mean, he's attached to his hammer, which is a parallel to his daddy.
Yeah.
All right, so she's like, all right, don't worry, I'll take care of this guard.
Yep.
Hoot like an owl.
Hoot like an owl. He's like, nah, fuck that owl. I'm a wolf.
I ain't no owl.
I'll be
bitch.
howling.
This is number 2. I said Arya played kind of loose with it earlier. Hot Pie does not know who she is, right?
Yeah, but she doesn't give it. Hot Pie is fucking stupid.
Well, they're in this together now too. Like this
But
is.
he found out that she was a girl and was surprised by that, and now she's like, I'm a wolf. I'm a girl. I'm a wolf.
I mean, everybody knew that wolf girl in elementary school, right? Like that's all this is.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, I'm wild is what you're saying.
She didn't say I'm a Stark. She said I'm a wolf. But at the same time, like I mean, you're right. Like,
That's one of the things
she's
where I did a
definitely-
double take to be like, hold on, that was a thought, right? Oh my God, no, she said that out loud.
Well, and I guess to continue my point from before, like they're kind of past that mattering, right? Like her secret doesn't matter to Hot Pie at this point.
I don't think it matters to her anymore. I think she's done hiding, right?
Yeah, that's
she's
kind of
like,
what
fuck it,
I'm
I'm
getting.
gonna be Arya Stark now. Like I'm a wolf.
She's like, we're about to leave this castle, the three of us.
Yeah.
We're gonna be on the road together, like just the three of us. Like
I get that point.
they're gonna. He's gonna wonder why they're headed to River Run, right?
So she goes to do it, right? She goes.
walks up to the guy.
She walked fast to keep ahead of fear, and it felt as though Syrio Forel walked beside her, and Yoren, and Jack and Hagar, and Jon Snow. She got all her boys there.
Harry Potter moment at the end of Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Spoiler.
She goes up. Yeah, it is a big spoiler. Sorry. She tells the guy she was sent by Roose. She's just like kind of like it's kind of like a video game, right? Like she's like looking at where she needs to kill this guy. Like I'm assuming that assassin game you played, Nelson, like there's some shit like this. Like how should I kill this guy? Should I kill him with the pliers or should I poison him right now?
Yeah,
Like
man.
she's like, damn, where can I cut this guy?
Yeah.
And the
Should I
throat's the
throw a
only
briefcase
thing.
at him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She sees the weak spot, the neck.
the throat's the weak spot, but I can't get there. She's too short. She's too little.
So that's where we get to Arya's MO. You drop a coin. Hey, look, I got some silver, which just literally works on anybody. Like, literally anybody. Maybe except for... She might not get a new trick when she gets, like, Joffrey or Cersei, right? Because they're not going to be stooping for a piece of silver. But most people, yeah, all over the place. Drops this
Well,
coin.
especially at night, you couldn't tell what this coin was.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we've heard that before. Like at night, all banners are black, like shit like that. When Yoren's trying to wave his cloak to Armory, and he's like, "That's the light. That's Barrack's banner." It's
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? Is this black? He's like, "Well, by night, all banners are black." So one of those things. So yeah, we got fucking neck slit. Guy
Slit,
falls
boom.
over.
Sticky, blood, raining. Not worried about. It's gonna wash off. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Valar Morghulis, she whispers as he died. So also, she whispered that to the earlier before Jeff read that quote. She goes to the heart tree, salutes
Yeah, we
it
said that.
with the sword, and
That's
she says
why we
Valar
had that
Morghulis.
discussion.
Did we say that she says Valar Morghulis then? She does.
Yeah, that was why we had that discussion.
Okay. I forgot. So yeah, he stops moving. She picks up the coin. Outside the walls of Harrenhal, a wolf howled, long and loud.
I was gonna say it's almost a sorrowful men kind of thing, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah,
Maybe that's what Valar Morghulis means.
maybe.
Prediction number 1.
Interesting though that, like, what I was reading. Outside the walls of a Harrenhal, a wolf howled long and loud. She lifted the bar, set it aside, and pulled open the heavy oak door. By the time Hot Pie and Gedra came up with the horses, the rain was falling hard. Like, their cue to come up was a wolf howl, but it wasn't her. It was another wolf out there,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
which is super weird. And it kind of like, they're calling me. They're the ones that are like, fuck it. Yeah, you're out now. Let's call them. Let's get the boys out. It's kind of
Yeah.
how I read that. It's like, the wolves are the ones that know that you did it. You don't even need to howl.
It's a good point.
I think it's kind of badass. I had never noticed that before.
Hot Pie's pissed.
You
Or
killed him. What the fuck?
frightened, at least.
What do you think
Yeah.
I was gonna do?
How'd you do that thing? Remember when Hot Pie threatened her early on, and she's like, "I'll fucking gut you, you fat piece of shit."
And I'm not saying what Arya did here is wrong. I'm saying her reaction to it is kind of serial killery. Like Hot Pie's like, "You killed him," and she's like, "Yeah, of course I did."
The tree told her to stop being a little girl anymore. Be the wolf.
But it's one of those like poetic endings that Kyle likes to make fun of me about when she's like, her fingers were sticky with blood and the smell was making her mare skittish. It's no matter, she thought, sweeping up into the saddle. The rain will wash them clean again. She doesn't give a fuck that she just killed this guy. It was a Northman, one of her, like theoretically her own men.
I was gonna say the worst part to me is that this is one of Roose's guys. Yeah.
And the only thing she's thinking about it is like the little like physical like impact. You know what I mean? Like not the emotional or like I just killed a person. They're like just like, oh crap, this is gonna make my horse scared now that I have blood on me. Like you just killed a person. You're 9 years old. Like
I'd say probably the only good rebuttal to that is that it was him or her.
Again,
right?
I'm not saying in this situation I wouldn't have done the same thing. I'm saying in this situation after the fact.
If you were Arya,
if I was a badass and I could have gotten this far, I would think that after the fact I'm like, holy fuck, I just killed a person. You know what I mean? And she's just like, oh, time to go. The rain will wash my hands clean. Like who gives a fuck? Like she's kind of like she's
definitely.
I mean, she's killed a few people already, right?
She's got a frag count. What's her frag count?
Yeah, she stabbed the stable boy.
Well, not just the stable boy though, and then she's got all the jacking kills.
I don't know how we counted those.
I know. I'm not worried about the frag count. I guess what I'm saying is like this isn't her first time. She's doing what she knows needs to be done. She's making very adult decisions in a weird way.
Yes, agreed.
All right, Kyle. Where do they head?
I mean, River Run is very obviously the setup there, right?
She got the map.
It's definitely the safest spot for her, especially because she kind of has some information about Winterfell. I stand by an earlier prediction that these wolves are going to come and save her at some point in time, though, and it's growing bigger, I guess. Like that, I feel like that's getting more obvious, more out in front. We'll see.
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right,
that's all I got.
Yeah, in general, I'll say my 2 cents before we head out. I think this is an awesome chapter. Like, there's a lot. Again, like a lot of stuff happens. Kind of a long one, but like a lot of like kind of like important stuff. The weird Weirwood thing. Like this is like the first we've heard of Roose, and like I said, we've seen him before. But like this is like a lot of Roose we get here. Kyle is dressed as the guy in the. If you're watching on YouTube, dressing him as him right now.
Yeah, he is a Bolton man. I forgot about that.
I mean, that was decided before I knew any of the families.
I think it's kind of fitting though. Like I thought it was kind of fitting. You're kind of like a
Boltonish.
Yeah, I could see you just laying there getting leeched. He's got his leeches. You got your bees.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. I like the chapter. Kind of. I think it's a good way to like. And I'm not. Maybe we get another Arya chapter to this book, but I think if not, it's a good way to wrap up the Arya kind of storyline for this, like making the book like bookend, literally bookend.
Does she get it? Does she get it? Yeah, it is. That would be a good bookend. Does she get another one?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
We're rumbling. Let's get Kyle off.
All right, later, nerds.
Bye. Bye.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! See you later, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
See you on the next one for Sansa 8. Now on the spoiler section. Jeff, what are your hot takes for this one? Before I actually get into that, I want to say, Kyle, props to Kyle for the Arya thing, for Elmar Frey thing.
It wasn't spoon-fed to him, but it was helped along. But it is good. Like, there's no shot in hell I was
thinking about it before we said, like, oh, yeah, why would it?
He was thinking about it. Like, who would that princess be? And I was probably like, I don't know, like bullshitting. He's like, set to marry like a frog somewhere. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no clue who he was talking about. But it's funny that it's Arya. And this time through, like, I knew it was Arya. Like, it just makes sense. The phrase. And then they're dishonored. Like, why? Like, what your first time reading through, you're like, why the fuck would they be dishonored? And then you find out that Rob marries this other chick, and then
yeah, I feel like along those lines, this is a great chapter because one of the reasons I like about the chapter, I was going to say it at the end of the last one, but I didn't know how to say it without spoiling, is like something that happens in pretty much every Game of Thrones chapter is, at least at some point, is a character's getting news, right, that either A, we already know about, but we know is wrong, right? Like here, Arya gets news that Bran and Rickon are dead, so we know is wrong. Or we get news
but
that is really
true in the world that they're living in. It's
true in how it impacts everyone. Again, like what I was gonna say is just like we get news that we already know about, right? Whatever it is. Like there's a cat chapter where she finds out about Ned the first time, right? About Ned being dead, and that's like a huge part of that chapter, right? I'm just saying this is like a thing that happens in Game of Thrones chapters all the time, where a character is getting news that we as readers already know about, but the reaction to the news is maybe not a huge part, but a pretty impactful part of the chapter, like the Bran and Rickon thing here. But also another big thing that happens in pretty much every chapter, like half the chapters, is somebody gets news about something that we don't know everything about, like the Frey thing here. I think this is a great chapter because we get a little bit of both. Like we get Arya's reaction to news we already know about, and we get her reaction to news that we know about, but Kyle doesn't.
Yeah. What do you, I was probably a pointed question. We maybe could have picked at that a little, but he had no clue. Like in the and there's the Real Time of Us podcast and the non-spoiler, he was like, what would be that? And he didn't really put two and two together that he knew it was Arya who was the princess, and he didn't think about how the Starks could dishonor.
And I felt like I was maybe getting a little bit close there, but the fact that we kind of moved on to the next thing pretty quickly without giving enough time to think about it, like kind of saved my ass when I was like, oh yeah, like they crossed the bridge. We can just say, fuck this pact now. But like saying fuck this pact pretty much says,
fuck the
don't marry Arya or don't marry Robb. And we know Arya didn't know anything about, so that wasn't it.
I kind of threw a little bit of a distraction too, and I was like, oh well, they just think that they're going to lose the war, so maybe they're just being dishonored because they're not winning, type of thing.
And I think you're right about that. I also, like you said that at the beginning, I wanted to be clear that there was a second piece of news that came in the middle of the chapter that made them even more mad. Right? Sure.
Yeah. I just didn't want to. So a couple things. Arya was the one of them. I had that twice. I think both princesses. I had it like as a question mark at first because obviously I don't remember, but I was assuming. Fuck, I have so many notes on this chapter.
Yeah, one thing I had was when Roose is talking to when he's sending the letter to Helman Tallheart, he says, "Kill all the people at Derry and put the castle to the sword by command of the king."
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, like, should we have brought this up in the chapter?
Which king?
With Kyle? Well, there's one king, but does Roose, like, did Robb actually, like, this isn't like, did Robb send Roose a letter where he's like, hey, tell Helman to kill everyone at this castle? Probably not. That doesn't sound like a Robb command. So what? Sure. Is Roose authorized to give out commands on behalf of Robb?
That was going to be my question. Does Roose have authority right now in the east of King's Landing?
And to your point with the whole Duskendale thing, that is a very bad move. Those people end up getting absolutely cornered and trapped down there. And like they take Duskendale, I think, but they absolutely get trapped and they all get captured. Like it's a horrible move. It's almost like Roose is like, hey, Tywin, there's going to be a bunch of people right next door in a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they might take Duskendale, but don't worry. Just send Sam Tarley's dad over to take it back and you'll be good. I think that's kind of what happens. Like Sam Tarley's dad fucks those guys up. That is, I think, what happens. Randall Tarley. So again, like Roose's moves here are kind of suspicious with like his actual commands when you look at him on the map.
Even when they talk about, I mean, I think I said it. I was like, wow, Duskendale's really close to King's Landing.
Yeah, it's kind of why I wanted to bring it up.
That's a super far fucking travel for no reason.
Exactly, yeah.
And he's also kind of weird when they're first like, we got to get out of here. Like, we're going to get sieged. Like, Tywin's going to come siege us. And he's like, nah, I don't plan on being sieged here. Like,
yeah, I don't mean to get trapped here.
But he couldn't have known of the dishonoring yet, right? Of Robb. Like
that's the thing is like when he says that he doesn't know yet about the Frey stuff. So again, we've already had, I feel like a few times, maybe even book one. I know there's been times when Glow was here where we're like, wait, was this Red Wedding stuff already way back here? But like this is where Red Wedding stuff is probably very close to happening. You know what I mean? Like around here is where those sparks are being ignited.
Right.
And I think some of this stuff we're talking about is evidence that you could say Roose already knows he's going to switch sides.
Yeah. How about another literary tool that's used in this chapter? Roose is going wolf hunting.
And he brings back two pups.
Yeah. So my question was, did he kill... It says he killed 9, right? Did he actually kill, like, were there 9 dead Starks, like, in the thing? Or
so, again, you'd have to... Again, if you're doing that, you have to think 2 are Brandon Rickon, right? Because they're the pups.
But he doesn't kill them.
He kind of is... Not him, but Bolton... Like his son is responsible for making everyone think they're dead.
I'm talking about the actual Red Wedding.
Oh, okay.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about in the Red Wedding when he goes wolf hunting.
I'm saying if you're trying to get to 9 Starks, you got to count as many as you want, as many as you can, right? Ned, even if you count Red Wedding, Kat and Robb, who else you got? How are you getting to 9?
Yeah, I'm saying more.
You got to count Brandon and Rickon as the pups. And you still
maybe there was
4.
9 Stark men. I don't know, but
that's a good point. Like, yeah, well, like maybe like at some point we'll hear that like, yeah, there was like 9.
I made a note of that when it's kind of he's going wolf hunting, like he's talking about these plans, he's thinking of these plans, and then he does end up playing a huge part in killing them.
And it's like as if you didn't catch that when he comes back. He looks up at the Stark banners and even says like, well, they do say winter's coming. Yeah, make me some gloves. You know what I mean? Like the one guy's like, yeah, you should make gloves out of the babies.
Yeah. Let's talk about this book. Is that really the only thing? It's super goofy.
I couldn't find much about it. I was like, what is this? There's a few more things. Like people think maybe this is something where Roose is like reading some type of curse that tells him like you're fucked. Like you're doomed no matter what. So he's like, burn it. Don't let anybody know. And the theory behind that is he does a bunch of stuff that people don't really do. Like he does, like he breaks guest right? He's part of the Red Wedding thing. Like maybe he only does that because he knows like, fuck it. My life is forfeit anyway.
Didn't he bang somebody's wife too after?
I don't know, but he like doesn't care that Ramsay killed his son.
What was that called? Lord's right?
Yeah, Lord's. Well, that's how Ramsay was born. He banged
right.
A Miller got married without his. It's basically Braveheart. A Miller got married without his consent. He goes to claim. I mean, Braveheart. He gets revenge, but here he goes to claim the Lord's right, having sex with the wife on the night. And he kills, I think, the husband. Yeah, here he's pissed because they did it in secret. So he kills the husband and rapes the wife under the body of the husband hanging from a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Ramsay was born.
Right, I remember that.
Right, and then Ramsay kills his son Domeric, which is kind of why I brought up that he has a son. Ramsay kills his son. And he's just like, okay, Ramsay, you can be like... It doesn't really make sense. Why is Roose like replacing Ramsay? Like, okay, yeah, you killed my son, whatever, you can be my new son. Like, when he didn't really accept him as a son before, like, it doesn't really make sense on the stuff Roose does. There's a lot of weird theories behind Roose, and I don't want to go into Roose theories right now because I don't really buy them, but, like, the main Roose theory is that he's either, like, some type of vampire that is somehow living forever.
He's a weird fucking dude, for sure.
One theory you might like is he's a White Walker. He's actually the Night King. Right? We haven't heard the story yet, but when Bran gets to the Night Fort, we hear the story of the Night King, the 13th Lord Commander of... Again, the Night King from the show is totally different from the Night King in the books. The Night King... In the books, the Night's King...
No, I get it. You don't have to tell me more, but I know the difference between the Night's King and the Night King, where there's no proof that there's actually a Night King.
Yeah, marries an other.
Yes.
People think that Roose might be the son, the baby. The baby of the Night's King and the other, or maybe the Night's King himself.
So is he like a cold hands, like half white person type thing?
Yeah, and the idea is he flays people and wears their skin.
Right.
Like whole body skin, not just fit, like basically does faceless men, but to the next extent where it's whole body.
But he only did that one time, right? He only has one
over and over again, and that's how he's lived from the 13th Lord Commander till Jon's the 999th.
So at some point he's going to kill somebody, flay him, and change his appearance and be somebody else. Like he hasn't been Roose Bolton this whole time. And
exactly, and the problem is, and the thought is like, he has weird eyes, right? We always hear he has like pale eyes. And the idea is like if he was an other, he would have blue eyes. So maybe he's the son of the Night's King and the other woman, which is why he has really weird eyes. They're like half other, half human, but not quite. And then his problem is
it's kind of cool.
I always have to skin change with somebody. Like I always have to take the skin of somebody who has the same eyes as me, right? Because like if I'm just wearing skin, my eyes are going to always look the same. So there's one character in the books who we know has the same eyes as Roose. Ramsay,
right? And
it kind of explains why maybe he would keep him around. Like, okay, yes, I let my bastard come to the Dreadfort. Yes, it's okay that you killed my trueborn heir. Like maybe he doesn't care about his trueborn heir. He just cares about a baby who has the same eyes as him, so that he can grow up and take their skin and pretend to be Ramsay eventually. Again, I don't buy this theory. This is a crazy theory.
I mean, skin isn't eyes though. He's not popping out his eyes and putting new eyes in.
Exactly. The theory is like he would take off the skin he's wearing, but his eyes, he can't change his eyes. So he could put on Ramsay's skin, but say he say he skinned Renly and then put on Renly's skin. Everyone would be like, "Wait, Renly, why did your eyes go from blue to pale?" So like the theory is he needs someone with the same eyes.
I've heard enough of this skin changer. I would rather you just tell me he was a white than a skin changer.
I don't like the theory either, but that's like the one Roose theory. Like there is like one Roose theory, and it's that he's a White Walker or the son of the White Walker, and it's kind of like
I think they're both stupid. I think he's just Roose Bolton, and he's a psycho.
I will say, what's up with the leeches? And this is going to go back to that same theory.
Leeching is a big thing in this time period. He gives you the reason. He thinks it makes him healthy,
but he's not sick.
But he thinks it keeps him from ever getting sick. Is that he just continues to take out bad blood?
Okay, I'll say what it goes on with the theory. Benjen. Or Cold Hands, when Cold Hands finds Bran, he tells him that like, oh yeah, my hands and feet are black because once the heart stops beating, the blood just flows down. Gravity works. So the thought is the reason Roos is so pale and he keeps leeching is because his heart doesn't actually beat. He's either an other wearing fake skin or, you know what I mean? I guess that's more the other one. He puts on the leech just to suck out the blood so that it doesn't pool and make his hands and feet black. So he doesn't look like Benjen, basically. He doesn't look like Cold Hands. The leeches keep him from looking like Cold Hands.
But
again, I don't buy either of these theories. Those are just the two theories. I said Benjen. I didn't mean Benjen. I meant Cold Hands.
Fine, whatever.
It's not the same person. It's not the same person in the books.
It's Benjen.
It's like George has said it's not the same person. I'm pretty sure.
George lied. George is a fool. All right, let's move on. Roos isn't. I cared more about the book than Roos changing his skin.
Roos is crazy though. Just as a character, he's a crazy character.
Her waking up Gendry naked, like it's goofy that Gendry was naked and that. Why did he have to be naked?
Yeah, he didn't have to, but she's already like down the stairs by the time he.
Are they inlaying is the Gendry Arya romance coming down the line?
I don't know. One thing I'll say is there's a part where she thinks like when the Raven comes with the news, she's like, I wish I had wings so I could fly back to Winterfell.
And she could fly away, and then go to Winterfell and then go far away.
And when she's like, go far away, that reminds me of like the Bran thing. Like Bran's dreaming, right? Is kind of like he thinks of that as flying, right? Like what's the threat? Like you'll never walk again, but you will fly. And again, kind of the way that I take that is like you'll be able to just like see whatever you want anywhere, all over the place. Maybe not even as a
very Three-Eyed Ravenish thought, and I had that down as a note because it's a raven, right? She sees a raven, she should pretend she's a raven. To that thought of what's her future, Bran's future was, well, you'll fly because you're going to be with me. Like, yeah. So I thought that was on cue. But the other thing is her in the Godswood. Who's talking to her?
Well, hold on. I want to stay on that last point real quick. It says when she's talking about like, I can fly and see whatever I want. There's two things that she says she can see. She can see sea monsters and the Titan of Braavos. And
did she say that? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, and we don't see her see sea monsters yet. But we have seen her see this Titan of Bravo, so it makes me wonder: like, is Arya going to be there?
In the side story of Arya and 1,000 ships,
is there going to be a Kraken like on in Winds of Winter when Arya's on the way back? There's thoughts that Euron's trying to do some magic to summon a Kraken. Why can't there just be a natural Kraken? We hear stories in I think book 4 or 5 in Dorne when we have Arya and Martell that there are Krakens off the South Shore of Dorne. So there might just be. And when I say magic, I think the idea, the theory that I've seen is that Euron has a ship full of barrels of blood that he's just gonna like let sink in the ocean to try and I say summon, but basically bait a Kraken in. Less magic-y than actual just like here's a bunch of blood in the water.
Sure. All right, so. This Godswood trip.
Yeah, the quote you read, the very first line out of it is, "For a long moment there was no sound but the wind and the water and the creak of leaf and limb." The creak of leaf and limb.
You said that those were names of
Leaf.
Children of the Forest.
I think the only Child of the Forest name we know is Leaf. But again, like when I hear that,
so you just assume that there's
I've never heard this theory anywhere. You say I don't have original thoughts. I'm going to go out and say this is an original thought.
I'm going to Google it
I'm pretty sure we've heard this stuff. Like, the last time I brought this up, I think, was a Sansa chapter in the Godswood. Like, I feel like we get this type of, like, leaf and rock or, like, stone.
I think you're right. It was like stone and moss, I think.
Exactly.
Like the two things that were mentioned.
It might not even have been leaf last time I brought it up. And I was like, those sound like they could be Children of the Forest names. Mm-hmm.
I'll agree with you there.
Again, I don't know what that means, but I feel like we get a lot of like Children of the Forest. Like I hope that in like Winds of Winter, we find out that there's a children. Like we find out like 5 more children. Just
there's
like 10,
a little army of them.
You're gonna hate me because the names is the big. Like I go crazy on the names. If we find out that there's Children of the Forest named Limb and Rock and Moss,
we're gonna have to reread the whole book to see how the last time Limb. What about 100%. Twig? Exactly. Oh, and I accidentally stepped on a twig.
Exactly.
That was a Game of Thrones person. That was a Children of the Forest. So is it time traveling Bran or is this Blood Raven?
I haven't seen this full theory anywhere, but kind of like what we were just even talking out, where it's like wolf blood. like I never thought about this, but if you look up Wolfblood in all 5 books, it shows up 4 times. Twice in this chapter, once in that Bran chapter, and once in that Arya chapter, where they're what they're referencing here. And it's all like Lewin is saying, you have Wolfblood in you, like you have this like magic ability in you, right? And like the 3 most wargy Starks we know, like I mean maybe Sansa, but she lost her wolf, and maybe Robb, but we don't never get a POV. So Bran, Jon, and Arya.
I mean, Robb's definitely eating people,
and Jon is the least of them, right? Like Arya's warging cats in Bravos, Bran is warging into Hodor. Like those 2 have like warg abilities, and I bet you that's what like the Wolfblood is about. I don't know. Kind of, I'm a big on the Wolfblood. I like the Wolfblood.
What do you think? Like, do you think this is? So, are you saying this?
I don't think Bran is messing with her. I think she has almost as much of an ability as Bran does.
All right. So, but that doesn't answer the ability. Doesn't answer why Ned is now whispering to her. Like, is Nymeria in touch? My question is more now: is Nymeria in touch with the old gods? Like, can Nymeria actually send a message?
Well, I guess also to your point is one of the things that I always argue is there are no gods. All of this vision shit is always somebody sending something, right? And Bran having the ability is really just for whatever reason, Bloodraven is easier for him to talk to Bran. So I guess to your point, I'm saying she's just like good at this, but that kind of contradicts my own previous statement. So I guess if it's coming from somebody, I don't think it's coming from Bran. Again, time traveling Bran throws a wrench. I mean,
if it's not coming from somebody, then we're saying it's coming from her mind, which is kind of weird because she's saying it's coming from. Well, maybe it's not weird, but I'm just saying like I believe that Osha was getting talked to through the wind and the trees and shit like that. And
sure, but and my claim is, I guess what I'm saying on top of that is, and this isn't necessarily something I believe, but I think it makes a lot of sense, and I guess like the logical math mind of me wants this just to be true because it makes everything nice and neat, is every time somebody ever has a vision or a dream or something like that where Osha hears the wind, it's not actually the wind, it's Bloodraven or it's time traveling Bran.
Right.
Like if there's a motive behind it, then we can like think about it and be like, okay, well, why did they hear this? What's the point of like them sending this thing? Kind of along the lines that Mira says was like, what's the point of the gods sending you these dreams, Jojin? If there's nothing you can do about it.
You can't do anything about it.
Like they're trying to get you to fulfill it or they're trying to get you to stop it. One of the two, but there's got to be a reason they're sending it. Like they wouldn't send it for nothing. So like, what's the point of dreams and stories if they're not sent from somebody? Is like, there is no point.
Yeah, but the weird thing is this isn't a dream. She's alive. She's awake and she's conscious.
Yeah, it's just like an ability.
She's consciously getting this thing, which is goofy. All right, we don't have to linger on it. We don't know.
Yeah.
Tell us if you know.
The one thing I also want to say, and again, this isn't really super spoil. A quick quote. A man says a storm is coming, and it does start to rain. But also, like the next book is called A Storm of Swords, and everything starts to kick off. So, that's like, funny. I think a metaphoric storm of just like shit is coming.
Does he say a storm's coming? He does. It's gonna rain. A storm is.
You can smell it in the air.
Yeah, you can.
Storm is coming. You can smell it in the air.
Yeah. All right.
And the other thing is, he says like, "I'm gonna give the castle to Vargo," which is like Arya's like, "Time to leave now." Right? I'm pretty sure like halfway through Storm of Swords, Brienne and Jaime show up to Harrenhal and Roose is still here. Like, it's not like he's leaving tomorrow and giving this to Harrenhal. Like,
well, he says that he had a long time.
Well, again, like we're saying, when they're like, "Hey, we can't be besieged here," what's he say? He's not like, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna." When he says, "I don't mean to be besieged here," you could take that as, "Oh, I'm gonna leave before that happens," or like you're saying, you could take it as, "I'm already on the side of Tywin Lannister. Tywin's not gonna come siege me. I'm on his side. I'm about to send Hellman and fucking Robert Glover into Tywin's hands. I think we'll be okay." You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing is he's like, well, Tywin's already got his hands full, which is true. Like Tywin's about to be in a crock of shit with King's Landing.
Yeah, just cleaning up all that mess. But I will say there is no evidence, I guess hard evidence at this point that Roose is in with Tywin, but his actions very, very much hint.
His actions show that he kind of wants to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like logically, it makes sense that the Frey message, that Frey Raven would be like the catalyst to be like, okay, fuck this, screw Robb, he's definitely lost. But it seems like Roose has already decided Robb lost and is switching sides already.
Right.
Which to the point of, should Arya say who I am? No. Good call, Arya.
Yeah, you know I mean? It sounds like these people have given up on Robb.
Yeah. But yep, that's all I have.
All right, let's get out of here.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys in the next one for Stanza 8. Bye-bye.
Bye.